With no hesitation other than forcing a smile, he answered, "My uncle died and left him to me in his will." "Oh, yes, passing on and passing the remnants along. That's what we all bound to do," she responded. But she doubted him enough to investigate a steamer trunk in his closet when he was gone, and found a soap-scented bundle of lady things and a Livingston suit he couldn't afford. So she hustled out to the sheriff's office to rain overdue judgment down upon Henry. Sheriff Whitehill felt the late Mrs. Antrim would approve of him scaring her son into gallantry by locking him up in the county jail on the charge of larceny. Whitehill's children, however, were friends of Henry, sharing a pretty Englishwoman's classes in the one-room public school, and those 7 children raised their voices against their father in high dudgeon that evening, and even the sheriff's wife wanted him to at least escort the 14-year-old to their house for a nice breakfast in the morning. Sombrero Jack, by then, had heard of the kid's arrest and skinned his way out of town and out of this narrative, but he would find Jesus and finally reform his life and wind up a justice of the peace in Colorado. According to a jailer, the circuit court would meet in session in Silver City the 3rd week of November, 6 weeks hence. So, forlorn, with a fear of final conviction, the kid conceived a plan to extricate himself from his dilemma. Working on the sheriff's instinct for leniency, Henry conned him into a free half-hour of exercise each morning in the corridor outside his cell, and then when a jailer for once wasn't watching, the kid ducked down into the fireplace and, skinny as he was, clawed and scraped and laddered his way up the narrow chimney flue until he could fall out onto the roof and then, hurtfully, to the ground. A gardener with a hoe saw the kid's soot-blackened hands and face and asked, "You playing in a minstrel show?" "You won't tell on me, will you?" "Oh, I'll tell. The fix you're in don't mean nothing to me." Hearing of the escape and getting on his knees to peer up the tight fit of the chimney, Sheriff Whitehill was impressed, telling the jailer, "Henry has an ingenuity with which I have heretofore not been acquainted." "You could tell he's a hard case," the jailer said. "He's got them dancing eyes." Meanwhile, Henry hightailed it to the kitchen of Clara Truesdell's hotel. She got him cleaned up and harbored him in the pantry for a spell, then put the orphan and his box lunch on a dusty, jouncing stagecoach through hostile Apache territory to Chloride Flat in the Arizona territory where his stepfather was. The kid formulated some high hopes for his meeting with Antrim, whom he had not seen for half a year, but then he found the former Hoosier fruitlessly panning for gold upstream on a trickling creek that ran into the San Francisco River. Billy Antrim knelt back on his haunches as he stared up at Henry, who detected a distinct lack of welcome. "Weren't you farmed out?" The kid lied. "I was lonesome for you." "Oh, me too. I've been pining." Antrim looked around for a horse. "How'd you get out here?" "Walked. Took me an hour. You get anything?"
"Tracings this week. Hauled in a nugget a month ago. Where's Josie?"
"Running errands at the Orleans Club."
"Well, he'll never amount to much anyways." Antrim stood. "Coppermine won't be hiring none more, if that's what you're thinking."
"I'm just footloose and fancy-free." Antrim squinted his distrust.
"I got just the one upstairs room and no provisions, but I guess you can stay overnight."
Antrim's upstairs room was over the Two Galoots saloon, where he seemed customary. A couple of soiled doves, in their next-to-nothings, were acting flirtatious, but Antrim wouldn't acknowledge them, only excusing himself by saying,
"I have needs like everybody."
He ordered 2 shot glasses and a full bottle of Old Overholt straight rye whiskey, and filled the jiggers for himself and Henry, but the boy was preoccupied by a large